everybody, welcome back again to Stolen. I'm John Anderson. Now, people are wondering, man, this guy's been saying, how corrupt is the court system in Northern Alberta? Well, everywhere in Canada, the United States, and the rest of the world for that matter, pretty damn corrupt. So anyway, I got a story with a fellow, with Mike, on location in Peace River, where he comes on the show and talks about his exact issue with a specific lawyer within the Peace River area. That's pretty much just been shafting this guy, and he's got the evidence to provide that everybody to prove it, and so everybody pay attention, watch what's happening. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm, of course, John, host of Stolen. This is Mike. Mike, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Mike's got a story today. He wants to tell us about his issue with family court within the Peace River area region. So anyway, Mike, start off. How did this all begin with your ex? What's her name? First name?
Cassie.
Okay, Cassie's her first name. Now, how did this all partake?
She was living in Grand Prairie when we split. I moved back to Grimshaw, and then she informed me that she wanted to move to Kelowna. And I said that was cool. It seemed like the right place for her to go, and my daughter was really excited because Kelowna's a artsy place, and so I said that's cool. Sounds like a great place for you guys to go. And but my son expressed he didn't want to go. He would have rather stayed in Alberta and closer to his family, and so he wanted to live with me. So I made a deal with Cassie and Mackenzie and Caden. We sat down at Dairy Queen one day, and we all agreed, the four of us, and we came up with a plan. And Cassie agreed that Caden could live with me for a year, and then after a year we would get together again and discuss it. So I was cool with that. Everything was fine. Caden came and lived with me. And then summer vacation, it was about 2 weeks or a week before school starts, last week in August, and she took him. I had a court order for her to return him, but I missed those two important words, police and force. So come the day that she was supposed to exchange him with my parents in Kelowna, she didn't show up, and then got my daughter to phone my grandparents and inform them that they're not going to meet and they're going to stay in Kelowna. So when I found out, I had to wait a little bit, but I went down to Kelowna to get my son and talk to the kids and find out what was going on. My son actually said that he liked Kelowna, but he didn't want to live there. He wanted to come back to Dixonville. So
Did he say why he didn't want to live there?
he's just not a city guy. He's just he doesn't like crowds. He kind of hates people.
He likes the country.
He loves the country. He loves quadding, and
You can't do that in the city.
no, heck no. And he likes being out in the country. He never was a city kid.
Okay, continue.
So when we went down there, I was able to talk to my kids, and my son still expressed how he wanted to live in Dixonville, but his mom was asking him and pleading him to stay in Kelowna, and his sister was doing the same. The thing is like when me and my ex split, she was busy with school. She was getting her nursing degree, and she was training for marathons, so doing a lot of running. So the kids were left by themselves a lot. But she lived in the college in the family area, so she was able to have friends kind of keep an eye on the kids. And so basically since we split, my daughter has been raising my son, and you can tell when they're together, my daughter like really mothers him, like tells him brush your teeth, alright Caden, let's go to bed. Like you can tell that my daughter raised this kid for the last 6 years. And
That's sad.
it is, like it really is, because the worst part about it is I've always been there. My son has always wanted to live with me. He's expressed this, not just to me. There's many, many people. Like, there's even her family. Sad part about it is her family knows about it. That's the sad part. And
you know what's really ironic is that these kids, they already learn what it's like to be confined to a space without even having to be sentenced to jail time yet. When you're forced to be in a place that you don't want to live in, they already feel that sense of confinement already. Isn't that nuts?
The worst part about it is it's not really a confinement. It's not really jail. Like, she's not.
You don't want to live there.
But she's not like, you know, you go sit in the corner and you do nothing. She's putting them in lacrosse and in Kelowna she had them in pedal bike, like BMX racing and stuff like
good.
that. Oh yeah, and they like lived a block from the rec center, and I think in Edmonton, I think it's the same situation. They have a rec center, like a lot of options, but kid's just not a city guy. He just, everything his mother's given him and put him in, he still wants to live in Dixonville. It's a fact that in Dixonville, where my acreage is, he's 5 minutes away from her parents. He's 5 minutes away from my parents. He's 20 minutes away from Manning, where most of her relatives live. He's 40 minutes away from a few of her relatives in Peace River. In my place, he's surrounded by friends and family. Like, that's the crazy part. That's the part that blows my mind. And it's not about like her, like my ex. I don't really
So how
care
did
what
this
she
happen
does.
though? How did this all end up where you guys are now in family court proceedings and all of this stuff?
Well,
So,
of course.
so now it's to the point where it's the total gong show.
Oh, believe me, it started about 3 years ago. It's almost 4 years now. Well, yeah, three and a half years it started. But when it happened is when she kept my son and daughter. My son, when she kept them, like we went down there and we talked to her. She didn't want to hear anything. Like, she refused to talk to me. This is her pretty much go-to plan. Is every time I'm trying to talk to her and my son tries to talk to her, she just shuts down, tells him that it's not up to him, and leaves it at that. So anyways, in Kelowna, we tried to plead with her. I got my son, actually, and he was saying to her how he wants to live in Dixonville. And so when I actually got my son into the vehicle, like, before that, my daughter took him into the house and like tried to talk to him. It wasn't convincing him, so she was actually like holding him down on the couch and saying, "Caden, you can't leave, you can't leave." We were outside trying to plead with Cassie, and we could hear him in the house just crying, just bawling, and she's just standing there laughing because she knew that there was nothing I could do.
That's psychotic.
It's weird, and she's been doing that ever since because she's had the upper hand. She's had a very, very good plan since
She's
she
very
took it.
premeditative.
Very premeditated. Everything is thought out thoroughly before anything happens. Like, she knows before. And so when we were down in Kelowna, I actually got my son in the vehicle, and this was my crossroads, and I wish I would have just kept on going. But so I left, and my son was feeling sad because he's like, Dad, I want to just say goodbye to him. I want to do it properly. And so, I have a heart, so I went back, and that was the worst mistake I ever made, because as soon as I went back, he went straight back into that house, and his sister just pleaded and worked him, and the end story basically was is I left without him.
Yeah, so she got into his head and such and such. So at any time, we just want to clarify with everyone that's going to be watching this, at any time, have you ever tried to coerce your son or convince him to live with you or make him want to live with you?
No, I never. He always suggests. He always talks about it. I have a court order. Like, I can't talk about anything with... she's taken like a lot of my rights away. She's even started on my parents. Where
your court order only states that you can't talk about the proceedings.
About the proceedings, you
with
betcha.
your son, not
Yeah.
with the media.
But the funny thing is that the only time that I've ever gone to court is for my son. My son says to me, "Dad, I want to live with you." Okay, son. Well, my first attempt is I got a written statement from him. I went to court. It was thrown out. Every time I've
Why
gone
did they
to...
throw it out? A written statement from him, and they threw it out?
Yeah. I think that was the time That was the first time I got him after she kept him, because it was like Christmas by the time I could get him. And he said how he didn't want to go back. So I kept him, and I phoned up Cassie, and I did the same thing she did. Pleaded with her, asked her, I got him on the phone, and nothing. So because she was smart enough to get police enforced, I had 24 hours to fly my son to Kelowna, which I abided by.
Jeez.
And that was my first attempt. And this has been an ongoing process every 3 years. Because my son, every time he's with me, and I've said to him, I'm like, son, I understand how every time you're somewhere, it's fun. Like, I go to Edmonton, and I like staying there for 4 days. It's a blast. But I leave. And I understand that, son. And I am a country guy. And, I tried city living, and it wasn't for me. So I know where I'm at. But, do you understand what this means? Like, do you want to be with your mom, or do you want to be here in Dixonville? And it's not him, it's not me bringing it up. It's him asking me.
And then how do you respond if you're court ordered not to talk about it and your kid's asking you? How do you have to respond to that? Because you're going to be in trouble and you're going to be finding contempt, right? Like this corrupt bunch of lawyers do in this system, right? They'll always try to find you contempt, make more money, bleed your pockets out. How much money have you spent already in this court case?
Ooh, she's got to be close to 10,000 easy. Easy. And I remember...
In a span of 3 years?
Yeah, dude, in a span of 3 years. And I remember talking to one lawyer when we first started this, and he's like, get ready to pay, dude. That's all I can say, get ready to pay. And, and there's times, I was in Fort Nelson. And I got an email one day. Luckily, I had gone through town, and I stopped at Timmy's, and I got Wi-Fi. So I got this email from Amy, from her lawyer. And
Amy Murphy, yeah.
From her lawyer. And so I had 24 hours to get my butt from Fort Nelson to Peace River. And I found that at 3 o'clock. So I had to drive all night to get to the courthouse. And there's been a few times that I've actually gone to court, and because it was a certain judge, or there was something going on, I've actually gone to court, and I've got my court adjourned because Miss Murphy is going on a holiday, or is getting ready to go on a holiday. And I literally took off a day of work. There's times
I'm going to tell you why a lot of that times it happens is because the lawyers are going to put it up because they want a specific judge in play when they want that court case. A judge that's going to go more so in their favor, one that they've worked with, or one that they're in bed with.
Oh, I've felt that many a times. There's a few judges I sat back
and usually when you feel it, that's when it's happening. Right?
Yeah.
It's usually when it's definitely occurring, right?
Yeah, I just figured, I just didn't have enough experience, and I'm very naive, obviously. But I've never asked of anything from her. Every time I've gone to court, it's for my son's voice. He's always wanted to live with me, and his mom and her lawyer has done everything to block his voice. They've done everything.
That's wrong. And when the child grows up, he's going to notice that the mom's doing this, and he's going to grow up having a hatred, a strong hatred.
Nah, he's too soft-hearted.
You're going to admit it, but I swear, what kid's going to grow up loving what's been done? Loving the fact that your mother's kept you away from your father? What kid's going to love that?
Well, see, and that's the sad part, is the years that we've missed. And
what he's going to love is seeing you two try to just work things out, even if you're staying apart, but just working out visits and visitations without legal system and fees and all this other garbage.
Yeah, see, when we first split up, that's the way it was supposed to be.
It would even teach the child something. You know what I mean? Mentally.
Well, when we first split up, we always talked about it. We're like, we never want to get this in court. We never want to involve lawyers. When we lived closer, I was fine. I got the kids every 2 weeks on the weekends and holidays, so it was really good. It was moving to Kelowna. And then after a year, she let me keep him for a year, and he loved it. We studied hard. He was really behind, because of course when they were in Grand Prairie, his sister was helping him. What could someone that age do? She was 11, 12, right? Yeah. So of course my son was really behind. So it took us a year, man. We studied every night. He was way behind in reading, spelling, all that stuff, and we studied. When he was at my grandma's, he would stay at my grandma's because my grandma lived right behind the school.
That's good.
And he liked to play in Dixonville, play with his friends. So we were like, yeah, dude, man, I'm going to spend the night. and grandma would study with him too. Like, and so by the end of the year, he was caught up. He was getting good grades, and then by the end of the summer, she had him.
Yeah, this is just wrong.
Oh, it's hard because the hardest part is that it's not me, man. Like it's
The kid that's hurting, yeah.
He's the one that wants to live there, and she's the one that's making it not possible. And you know,
It's not even that, but her giving the restrictions of not having the ability to speak with you, to console your child within the topics that he needs consoling with, which is the relationship and visitation and stuff. He can't even confide in you because you
I
can't
can't talk about it
legally. Do you know what I mean? It's such a excuse.
Yeah. Like
That's just wrong, right there. Just right there, that sign right there, that what you're doing by making these court orders, filing, and doing that to the child, that's mental child abuse. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That's mental child abuse. When you play a game like that and you're torturing a child, restricting him from seeing a perfectly good father, that's mental child abuse, and I don't give a shit what you say. So what you're doing by doing what you're doing is child abuse, and you're out there, you're exposed doing it because that's what you're doing. The lawyer's involved in it too because she's making money off the feud, and the child abuse, mental child abuse is happening, and she wants to keep that divide between the two of you because it's cash in her pocket. Oh, the more you say something, the more you slip up. Oh, that's $500 or $1,000 fine and in contempt. You know, it doesn't matter. Then the lying too. That's another thing, and if you can catch them lying, that's a golden goose. But we'll get into that.
oh yeah, dude, I got a lot of evidence on that one.
Yeah. So he's in Edmonton still right now. Really still wants to come home.
Yeah, he was actually down last weekend. We went quadding in the mud, man. It was awesome. And he just loved it. And yeah, still said he wanted to stay. And his mom actually, she was pretty nervous because the other time he was down, he actually stood up for himself, which I'm proud of. He actually did it. And stood up to his mother and did it in front of her family so that she couldn't hide it anymore. And yeah, he had that fork in the road, and I don't know why, but yeah, he went back to Edmonton. His mom actually, like, surprisingly, kicked him out on, like, told him, if you're gonna make a scene like this, go outside on the porch. Well, this was like, I think the weather was +1, +2, so of course my son was cold. So after a while, he didn't have a choice. He was mad, vibrating, and he didn't know what to do. So, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. And he said he wasn't forced in the vehicle. He went on his own.
See, I was like, you can tell Mike right here is being honest. He could far-fetched stretch the stories, but he says, no, he wasn't forced in the vehicle. Like, right, you see, he's being totally honest.
Oh, well, there's no reason for me to lie. I've never had to. I've never from the beginning. I've only told the truth. I'm only trying to get my son's voice heard, and that's pretty much all I'm really doing. Like,
That's the other thing that bothers me, too, is that the court system won't allow these children to go on the stand and say where they want to go. They're just forced to live where they don't want to live.
Yeah, like the judge told me that if I want my son's voice, well, I gotta hire a psychologist and I gotta hire this person. We have to have this big, huge meeting. And I'm like, really? Because I'm pretty sure that my son's a pretty well-educated kid. He knows the world pretty well. Him and his sister have had to raise themselves for the last 6-7 years. So pretty sure he's capable of making his own friggin' decisions. So I don't know why we have to make a big deal out of it when you can just ask him. Like, I have friends that went into court and said who they wanted to live with at 12 years old. Why am I paying all this money? Like, it's not like I'm a bad father. There's nothing here I'm doing wrong. I'm not even fighting with the mother besides the child's right for his voice to be heard.
That's right.
And she's fighting so hard to keep it. And that's what I don't understand is how a judge could sit there and hear all this evidence and not wonder, why are you guys fighting so hard to not get this child's voice heard? What are you hiding? Are there things that you're not saying? Are there...
In a lot of cases, man, usually 90% of the time they're just using the system as ammunition to hurt you.
Oh, dude, man, it sure
That's
seems
usually
that
what
way.
it is. And then, like, say if she's got a boyfriend right now, she'll utilize him, grab onto him, especially if he has any better knowledge of the legal system. she'll start using partners. That's what they do. They'll use their partners that have even nothing to do with you. So even if Cassie's using her partner right now, which she'll probably will do, I don't know if she is right now.
Oh
or not,
yeah,
but
he's starting to get vocal these last couple of meetings.
that's exactly
blows
what happens.
my mind because I don't know who the hell he is. Like,
That's exactly how it starts.
You
I've
know?
seen a lot of cases, my friend. Interviewed a lot of people. Canada, United States, I've seen it all, my friend. It's a sick society. It's a sick system. And when everybody sees that and everybody hears this story, they're going to know that what's happening right now is child abuse not being done by you. It's mental child abuse being done by your ex and by the family court system. And the judge is allowing this to go on. Amy Murphy is making a profit off of it, and she smiles about it when she walks down the streets of Peace River, Alberta, grinning her face off.
well, what's funny is when she mentions holidays, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you want a different judge. That's what it is. You want a different judge.
No, other than, maybe that is the case, obviously, but I just think in the back of my head, I'm like, oh yeah, what vacation did I pay for?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Right? Oh man, and it blows my mind too. Like, I have children. My son's 5, my daughter's 3. Like, I have a younger son who's a year and a half. Like, my kids. I just had this little court battle with my wife over a vacation to Florida. She's gone to Florida. She's gone to Cancun, Mexico with my kids. The last time she went to Cancun, the boyfriend she had, they ended up just drinking and partying all night and then sleeping all day. So my kids were, luckily her relatives were with her. So it's the only reason why I let the kids go, because I knew that she wasn't going to be looking after them, but at least there were people there that would. Her mom and dad were there, and there was enough people that would. But my daughter ended up going down to the beach by herself. And this was like,
In Kelowna?
no, Cancun, Mexico, dude.
Oh my God.
My son, like,
Good thing she still got all her organs.
she lived, but her grandma luckily found her and flipped out on her, like, you can't be walking around here by yourself, like, and so when this was what my kids told me, I have no evidence of it. This is what my kids told me. Why would my kids lie to me? That's the one thing that bothers me. Is why would my kids lie to me about that? But that's what happened in Cancun. So I swore up and down. I'm like, you know what? It'll probably be a very long time before I let you take my kids out of the country again. And it has. I'm like,
But now recently, didn't she want to take the kids out of the country?
She ended up taking them to Orlando, Florida. And I kind of fought it because she was using leeway. There was a fight. I'm getting married this summer, and she's making it so that my son's not even going to be there, because at that certain time she's got somewhere to be, or she's got another holiday, which is screwy because I have until May to give her my holidays, and usually it's never been a battle, but because she wanted me to sign for them to go over to Orlando, she created a battle. Welcome to court. So I went to court, paid a bunch of money, and now I've got another court date here in June to defend myself, because she's saying that I'm talking to the kids about divorce proceedings over a
I was
phone
there
call.
for that, and she tried to, and there was no evidence proving this, right?
No, it was just hearsay.
You're in
So Jamie-
contempt. You're in contempt. I've never seen anything, and this judge was almost going to go over it. And I'm like, this lawyer's not even presenting any evidence, proof of contempt. And again, this judge is almost buying it. I thought, no, there's something seriously going on with the Peace River, Alberta court system when that happens. When there's no evidence presented and the judge almost buys it, that's some sad stuff. And he puts it over so we can look at it again.
And
Right?
Amy
He put it
Murphy
over.
is very good at it. She's not
She's not that good because she used what was it? An agreement from the most recent one that says you get, 4 weeks or 6 weeks?
No, I get 6 weeks.
6
for my
weeks.
son.
She tried to say that she went by an old one on the last case, tried to go by an old one saying it was only 4 weeks when it was actually 6. So she tried lying, trying to get the doc down for Cassie. So that's how they work. I'm trying to tell you, man, that's how it works.
It's her tact. Every time I've gone to court for anything,
But
I
you
always
fail.
walk away with a little less. She's always taken a little less from me. This time, I get 6 weeks summer with my son. She tried to take 4, and the
It's
judge
all
actually
grinding
almost
down, man.
almost went for it. Like, yeah, dude, man. Amy's very good for almost every time I've been in court. She's thrown out at least 1 or 2 very subtle things, like.
Oh, look at that. That's a positive review for Amy Murphy. Look at that.
the first day that I was with her in court, I had co-parenting with Cassie. By the end of the day, she had primary care. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted my son to live with me because that's what he wanted. And yeah, I got that taken away. The next time my son came to me, I fought again. And I paid another whole bunch of money to my lawyer and her lawyer. It's just that's all I do is every time I fight for my son's voice, I end up paying money to the court system.
You know what's really sad though is that they have this law in place where the media or people or criminals can't make profits off proceeds of crime and all this stuff, right? Now these lawyers are still making profits off proceeds of crime, family law, people's misery. That's what they're making a profit off of, right? That's what they're doing. Your misery, your child's in misery, and this lawyer, for example, Amy Murphy, along with other family law lawyers, are profiting off of people's misery and the misery of these children. Right, and then they're so proud about it, right? And they get recognized as good standing citizens within the community when they're not. They're not. They just pulled the wool over your eyes, so blinded because most of the people are so asleep to the reality and the facts of the actual family court system and the criminal court system that they don't see it for the way, the face value of what it really is. Right?
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what's happening. Now, yeah, everybody watching this, even the lawyers that are listening to me explain it this way, how I've explained it to you, you know what, this guy's right. Like, I can't even argue with that. There's no debate. That's what they're doing. You're profiting off of people's misery and depression, right? Even the children's misery and depression, and that's sick. And if you guys keep it up, it should be a protest where you guys just get nothing but one set wage. Every freaking lawyer.
Yeah, man. I had a belief in the system. I really thought it worked, but with my last 3 years of experience in the Peace Country and the Peace River court system, man, it's really taken my belief away and my trust in the court system. It's pretty hardcore. Like
in both countries, man. I've been everywhere. Colorado, Idaho, Montana, man. The system sucks. It's everywhere. It's bad. All over Canada.
The world, dude.
It's
I
bad.
noticed indeed,
It's all about money. If money didn't exist, the system, you'd be getting a lot better. She'd be just, you guys would be, hi, hello, every time you exchange the kids. But no, because money exists, and then the corrupt system exists, they can use that as ammunition just to hurt you. Every time they take you to court, it's another bullet, right? That's how it works.
Well, the thing is, like, I've always paid. It's not like I haven't paid.
And that's what it's all about, though. It's about money. No one ever stopped to take a minute and say, it's about the child, so let's sit him down and ask him, what does he want? But fuck no, it's all about take the money.
What blows my mind is I've talked to a lot of women where they just shake their head because they had a man, they had a couple kids together, 1, 2, or whatever, and he jetted. But instead of being like, I'm going to take him for all these weird blah, 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 she just sucked it up, got a goddamn job, and continued on with life. Funny thing is what the hell would I do?
Yeah.
Would I go after you? No, I just go about my damn day, get a job, and pay my bills. Like, why are you asking me to pay for what? What are you doing? I can do the same thing. And for me, it's not about money. I've always paid it. It never bothered me.
It's about the love of your child, man. That's what it's about.
Dude, man. Like, it's what he wants. That's the worst part about it. And my daughter even knows that that's what he wants. And I have no idea why she's going along with this. Really, like, my ex is smart. Insanely scary smart. And she's very good at manipulating. She's very good at getting into someone's head and playing with someone's head. She's very good at it, like scary good at it. And I know for a fact that's what she's doing to the kids. Like my daughter, my daughter was 14 or 15. Her and her mom got into a huge fight, and so Cassie kicked her out. And the day, it was either the night before Cassie kicked her out or the day that Cassie kicked her out, shut off her phone, I think took her ID, her wallet, all that stuff, and just kicked her out. And so, luckily my daughter...
I remember that, and I was like really pissed off. I'm like, you don't kick a kid to the city streets with no fucking... no cell phone. Right? That's detrimental. Human trafficking, hello.
And Kelowna, of all places, I'm like, yeah,
Holy Jesus.
And so kicked her out, and luckily my daughter was smart enough to like keep her phone, but it was not usable. But luckily she get Wi-Fi, so she went down to a
Still
cafe.
usable to make 911 calls.
Well, yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, but went down to a cafe, got some Wi-Fi, got a hold of my sister who was in Whitehorse, and then so my sister, I think, bought a Greyhound ticket to Chilliwack because that's where my aunt and uncle live. And so then once my daughter was at my aunt and uncle's, well, that's when the rest of the family told me about it. Because they didn't want me flipping out, because they knew I would. If she was still out on the street, I would have just flipped shit, right?
Of
So
course.
got her to my aunt and uncle's, and then everybody told me. Well, they told me at about 9, 8 o'clock at night. I just got off work, or I got back from work. And they told me about it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me have some supper, and guess I'm going to drive to Chilliwack. And they're like, really? You're going to? Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow morning. And so I ate, chilled out for about, I think, 9 or 10 o'clock I left. And I got into Chilliwack at 11 o'clock that morning. Got to my aunt and uncle's and had lunch with them and grabbed my daughter. And I drove all the way back to Dixonville. So I did that drive in 24 hours. And then just, luckily, like, just cause. And the shitty thing about it, and the thing that pisses me off is, it would have been fine if my ex-wife was still at home. But the worst part about it is when she kicked her out of the house, she phoned all of her parents' friends and said that she was a troubled child and do not let her in the house. And then my ex took my son and came to Alberta to Grimshaw, Dixonville area, to do renovations or do something on the house. So literally kicked my daughter out on the street with nothing and left the province. Now that was the first time she kicked my daughter out. The second time they fought, my daughter wanted to stay in Kelowna because my ex decided to move to Edmonton. My daughter got a hold of me and said, Dad, I really love it here. I've got this plan. I'm going to live with this family. I'm going to continue with dance. So I was like, you know what, Mackenzie, your mom sold you a dream, and it sounds like you love Kelowna. So you go ahead and you figure it out, and I'll do what I can. And I would say I sent her money a lot, as much as I could. You know, not a lot, I guess I shouldn't say, but I sent her what I could afford. $300 here, $150 here. I did what I could. Paid for dance, all this stuff. And her mother was having a baby. And my daughter Mackenzie was saying how she loved Kelowna. She was having a hard time missing family. I understood that. But she was loving it and said she'd never want to go to Edmonton. And then so I served my ex saying that the situation has changed. The status quo has changed. My daughter does not live with you anymore. You do not live in Kelowna anymore. I would like to rediscuss my son living in Edmonton. So what my wife does when she gets served with that affidavit, she gets a hold of my daughter in Kelowna and says, could you come down to Edmonton? I'm about to give birth. I would like you to help me. So she got her down there, had her there for about 2 weeks. And by the time 2 weeks was over, my daughter had decided to stay and live in Edmonton. So all the effort and all the money that I put through was literally erased in 2 months. 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah. So and this is something that's always happened. She's been able to manipulate my daughter very, very easily. And it's all about love, dude. Like, I understand a mother's love, and I know my son, and that's the hardest part is my ex knows how to play with his heartstrings, so cry in front of him, all this stuff. And my son, he has a good heart, and he hates to see someone cry. He hates to see someone, upset. So
she plays on that.
Oh, she plays on it good, man. She can
plays
drop
on that.
tears a blink of a hat, man. She's good.
And to continue to do this behavior is a sickness. It is. It's a mental sickness. And to bombard you with a system like this and attack you like that with the family justice system, Family court system is sick. It's sick. It's sick. It's torturing the child. It's not even torturing Mike.
Welcome to Stolen, Strength Together over Legal Empowerment Now. Your host, John Anderson, is back with new shows, rants, special guests, and much, much more. Exposing corruption while giving the people an outlet to have their say on any and all corruption experiences they may have encountered in life. Please feel free to subscribe and share our shows in hopes of helping others know there still is and always will be hope. Join the club at www.stolen.club.